Let's just dive right in with a question.
Did you ever get the sense that love wasn't just given? Like it was something you had to earn, through getting the best grades, always being the good kid, racking up achievements. If any of that sounds familiar, then you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to unpack the why behind that feeling. See, from the outside, you were probably the lucky one, right? The kid who got all the praise, the one who always made everyone proud. But here's the twist. What if that role, being the golden child, wasn't a gift at all? What if it was actually, like some experts say, a kind of psychological cage?
And this isn't just about being a high achiever. No, it goes way deeper. We're talking about a family dynamic that can literally rewire a developing brain. It teaches a kid a really powerful and kind of dangerous lesson that your worth is all tied up in what you do, not in who you simply are.
So the big question is, how does this rewiring actually manifest in your life now, as an adult? Well, we're going to break it down. We've got 6 key signs. Think of them as clues that show how being that golden child might still be pulling the strings on your stress levels, your relationships, and even your sense of who you are today.
All right, first up, performance over presence. This gets right to the core of the whole thing. It's that deep gut feeling that love was never just free. It was a transaction. It was conditional. It was based entirely on what you could pull off.
I mean, think back. The praise probably came when you did something, right? The straight A's, winning the game, being the perfectly behaved kid. But what about the other parts of you? The messy, curious, playful kid who sometimes just needed a hug. Yeah, those parts, they probably got overlooked. So the lesson you learned really early on was that your performance was way more valuable than just you.
And when love feels like a transaction, well, that leads us straight to a really crippling perfectionism. I mean, it makes sense, right? If love is tied to being the best, then anything less than that feels, well, catastrophic. Good enough doesn't feel good enough. It feels like a total failure. And that just builds this insane, relentless pressure inside you to be at your absolute peak all day, every day. Okay, so with all that pressure to be perfect, it's no surprise that it creates the perfect setup for our next sign, what we're calling the capable loner. This is that adult who is so self-reliant, it's almost painful. Because asking for help, oh man, that feels like admitting you're not perfect, which is just not an option.
Does this ring a bell? You were always the responsible one, the one who had it all together. So what did you do? You learned to just handle it, all of it, by yourself. And now, as an adult, everyone probably sees you as incredibly capable. But inside, asking for a hand can feel physically impossible. So you celebrate your wins quietly, and you deal with your struggles in total silence.
So what's the psychological root of this? Well, there's a term for it, parentification. It's basically when a kid is forced to manage really big, complex emotions, either their own or even their parents', way before their brain is ready for it. You essentially become a little adult, and you learn a powerful lesson. Your needs always come second. So you've got this intense self-reliance. You're managing all these emotions. And that leads us to sign number 4, becoming the constant observer. It's like you develop this special kind of guarded empathy. It feels like a superpower, but believe me, it comes at a huge cost.
You probably became an absolute expert at reading a room. You could feel a shift in the mood, a tiny bit of tension, before anyone even said a word. And yeah, this high interpersonal sensitivity seems like a great skill to have. But what it really means is that your nervous system is always on. It's on high alert, constantly scanning for problems to fix just to keep the peace. That's a state of chronic vigilance. And let me tell you, it is absolutely exhausting.
Being on high alert like that 24/7, it's no wonder it leads straight into our 5th sign, this deep, nagging fear of being replaced. It's this constant underlying need to prove that you are, without a doubt, irreplaceable.
And your inner critic? It has a favorite script, and it plays it on a loop. It sounds something like this. You could be swapped out at any moment. You're only as good as your last achievement. Sound familiar? Because your first experiences with attachment were all about performance, you might find yourself constantly overgiving now. In your relationships, at work, everywhere. Just trying to secure your spot and make sure you're not cast aside.
So, what happens after a whole lifetime of performing for other people? Well, that brings us to our 6th and final sign, and it's a big one. A profound loss of your true self. It's that quiet, unsettling feeling that you don't actually know who you are when there's no one watching.
You see, when you spend your whole life being who everyone else needs you to be, you can lose something psychologists call self-concept clarity. And that's just a fancy way of saying a stable, confident sense of who you really are deep down. Without that, your whole identity feels fragile, like it's completely dependent on what other people think.
Okay, so if any of this is hitting a little too close to home, please hear this. It is not a life sentence. And that brings us to the most important part of this whole conversation, the path forward. We're going to talk about how to move from all that pressure to giving yourself permission to finally feel like you're enough.
The absolute most crucial thing for you to get is this: you are not broken. These behaviors, they aren't character flaws. You know what they are? They're brilliant adaptations. Your nervous system figured out how to survive under intense pressure long before it ever knew what real, unconditional safety felt like. That's an adaptation. It is not a failure.
Look, getting that golden label wasn't your fault, but the healing, that path is now in your hands. And it can start with 3 simple steps. First, just acknowledge the pressure, the immense, lifelong pressure you've been carrying. Give it a name. Second, and this is a game changer, give yourself permission to have unproductive rest. Yeah, permission to just be, without achieving anything, proving anything, or producing anything. And third, start the work. The conscious work of separating your worth from your accomplishments. Your value isn't something you earn. It's just there.
And as you start to walk that path, I want you to hold on to this truth. Make it your mantra. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. You do not have to be perfect to be worthy. And you absolutely do not have to be perfect to be enough, because you already are.
So I'm going to leave you with a question to chew on. Take away the job title, the list of achievements, all the expectations from other people, and ask yourself this: who are you, really, without an audience? Because the answer to that question, that's where your real freedom begins.